It is about damn time. I actually can't believe this is finally happening. You know, about 6 months ago, probably longer actually, I took the dashboard out of my van.
Whoa. Oh yeah. Ew, what the fuck?
Here's the glove compartment, and what the hell? And then the island caught on fire and everything was a shit show. The van hasn't been top priority and the dashboard has been just waiting to be painted. I've been parking my van in the lovely town of Kihei, which is extremely dusty. So basically, what I gotta do is grab the dashboard, put it in my car, take it to the jungle where I live, paint it, bring it back to Kihei, and then install it again. And I'm sure it'll go just as smoothly as usual. So the catch here is that this is a big old dashboard and I have a tiny little car. A tiny little car that is full of circus gear, it turns out, so we're gonna have to move all of that. This honestly isn't even half of it. My car is always full and I can't help but play with them every time I get my hands on them. Once we get the car empty, it's time to slip the dashboard right in. Or so I thought. This is what Rainbows refers to as the hidden bummer factor. It is part of every project and it is expected. I'm a Taurus moon, which means I'm a determined woman.
This has to work.
So we take it in through the front door and smooth like butter. It is now the next day. We made it to my house and the dashboard is still intact. Lucky for me, the house that I rent a room at has a whole workshop in the back. Here's what a disassembled dashboard looks like, if you were wondering. Pretty dirty if you ask me, so we're gonna give them a good wash. I started out with a sponge and some simple green, and for the rest, I used this crud cutter stuff. After all that scrubbing, it was time to sand. I'm wearing a respirator because I don't know if there's like lead in this or what, but not taking a risk. I don't know what possessed me to do this by hand, but alas, we finished. And as per usual here on Van on the Moon, we're totally winging this. Somehow, I needed to hang this dashboard up for painting, so I grabbed a bunch of string, tied it up, and hoped for the best. And if you couldn't tell from the first set of jazz hands, I was feeling like a straight up magician. The next step is to hit it with some denatured alcohol. The last part of the prepping is to tape off all the little tiny bits that I don't want paint on, but I also didn't want to have to remove. So, shout out to Frog Tape. The prep work is done. In order to not get spray paint all over myself / in my lungs and eyeballs, I put together this cute little spacesuit, which honestly, I'm kind of into it. For the paint, I'll be using Rust-Oleum, just a black glossy one, and a purple sunset color shift glitter. I was not about to just do my first try onto the dashboard itself, so I used this board and did a test run, which went pretty well, if I must say. I do have a use for this board, but let's get back to the dash. I went around to all of the pieces, just getting coat on top of coat of thin black paint, hoping to get it as smoothly as possible. As for the glitter, I just unloaded onto these pieces, but that created a drip. A frickin' drip. Actually, multiple of them throughout the project, so, hopefully no one will notice. Once I got my technique down, it was going beautifully. And if you are wondering what my technique was, it is dorkily swinging from side to side with 2 hands on the can because that shit is hard to press down. Lastly, I unloaded an entire can of clear coat. Here we go, guys. We're running off of caffeine and good vibes. It was pretty late at night, so we didn't film much of it, but Rainbows is a trooper. We had a lot to put back together. We had to reassemble all the vent tubes.
Look at those toes.
After we got all the vent stuff situated, we had to redo the wiring, which I will let him explain because this was not my project.
This guy that we got this thing from was proud of him doing this job, and there was sawdust where he drilled holes in the wood and under the bench, and fucking the wiring was just like such a terrible job. Anyhow, it looks better now. Look at that. That's how it should look when you're done wiring a harness.
You know, this video could have more of a lead up where I show you us putting it back in and, yada yada. But I kind of want to just cut to the afters, so...
Yeah, this is exactly what the van needed. I can't even explain how happy I am that it is finally back in and looks as awesome as it does. This means the van can finally be on the road. So stay tuned, follow the journey because it is just now getting started.